the lighting looks different by any chance, it's because it is literally load shedding, which means my area does not have electricity. If you are not South African, you don't get the concept. But yeah, there's no electricity. These fancy lights are really awesome because they work when there's no power. I think that's really cool. The fact that I'm able to record and still deliver value to you is just absolutely amazing. So the lighting looks different. That's the reason. It's not me, it's Eskom. We can blame Eskom for this. I promise it's not me, okay? Hi, my name is Lesedi Dawn. If you are new here, hello. If you're a long-time subscriber that keeps coming back, thank you so much for the love. Your support means the world to me. We're gonna be talking about buying your first car. I'm gonna be sharing with you how I went about it without paying a deposit. All right, we're gonna start off with a bit of a background just to give you some context, okay? So I got my driver's license at the age of 20. I think it was about a week or two before my 21st birthday. That was the goal. I was like, there is no way I'm graduating and I don't have my driver's license. Not to say that I had a car at that point or a car waiting for me after graduation. I don't come from that family, so I was just going to work my way towards it. But I knew that I do not at any point want the reason why I can't get a car to be because I don't have a driver's license. Like, no. When I started working, I couldn't afford a car. It's just the honest truth. Like, I couldn't afford a car. Like, I had to get to work. I had to eat. I had to still look cute, like professional and all of that jazz. So where was I going to, find the money, find the coins for a car? But I set myself a goal. I was like, okay, might not be able to afford it right now, but I know that within a year of working, I want to have a car. I was taking taxis, but still living with my sisters, like in the burbs. So taxis don't go all the way in. So at some point you're walking. So I had to like walk 30 minutes every day. It was exhausting, like 5 kilometers every day. It wasn't 30 minutes actually. It was an hour, right? Uber wasn't really a thing at that point, was it? It was. Uber was the thing, but like I didn't understand why I'd be spending my coins. Like I took a taxi. Now I'm mistaken. Just seemed like a lot. So I was like, I will walk this out. This will count as my exercise for the day. Okay? I made it work. Until this one time, I could not find a taxi. I was on Willem Nickel. I couldn't find a taxi because all the taxis that were coming from Randburg were going to Deep Sloot and they were packed. So there was no middle taxi. A taxi stopped and they said that I can sit in that middle part. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. If you've never been in a taxi, then please look at a picture of how a taxi looks like. But let me just explain. Inside the taxi, at the back it's 14, 44 Maslalisane, great. In the front, it's supposed to be just the driver, empty space, passenger, the passenger that counts the coins, right? The taxi was full. So the only place I could sit is that middle part. But that middle part, under the middle part, is the engine, guys. It's the engine. So what was happening to my bums as I was sitting there? Even if this was like a 5-10 minute max drive from Bryanston to Foy's as my local taxi, my butt cheeks were hot. And not in a cute way, okay? Not in a cute way at all. And the day I was just like, nah, this is not life. Like I'm tired of this. This is not life. This has to change. This cannot, thank you very much. Thank you. But me, I want out. I am not subscribing to this anymore. I want out. At that point, I wasn't at a place where I could buy a car because I was about to move out. My sister was like, enough with you living with me like you a grown ass girl. Like you're a big girl now. Go venture for yourself. Go get your own place. So I was like, okay, first apartment loading. Exciting, right? But still, that taxi life, I was like, I'll do it for a couple of months, but I need to find a plan. So that brings me to my second point. Planning is so crucial because if you're not careful, what will happen is you'll move from one job to another job, or you'll move from a job and get an increase. And still, I promise you guys, like, doesn't matter how much money you make, you will still find reasons to spend it. If you don't have a plan for the money, you will find reasons to spend it. So create the plan before the money comes, because once you have the money, the plan is out of the window. If there was no plan, you can't start, you're not thinking straight, so you can't like plan in that moment. So plan for big things before the money comes. That way when the money comes, you already know what you are actioning out from your plan. So I sat down and I created a plan for myself. Like I said, I knew that I wanted to get my car within a year of working, or at least before my 23rd birthday. It had to be that I was 22. So that was the plan, right? Secondly, I had heard about credit scores, the importance of credit scores, and so on and so forth. So I'm like, okay, let me do some research. I'm going to get on that and work on it. And thirdly, I knew that my current job at that time was not going to be sufficient for me to have my own place, to be paying rent, and to be driving. So I needed a new job. I was at that company for about a year. So I realized that the plan of me getting my first car within my first year of working was not working, because I was still at the same job, and that increase that I thought would be enough for a car, apparently increases are not that high. It's just like, it's just, I thought like an increase is like 10-20%, but it's not. Okay, so I was like, okay, let's research how to increase your earning potential. And one of the things that came up a lot was job hopping, and I was like, I like that. It sounds like an adventure. I'm gonna do that. So started looking for a new job. Looked for a new job probably about February 2016 now. Looking for a new job. March, here's a new job, a marketing what was I gonna be? A marketing administrator at the company that I've spoken about. That was in Houghton, and there was an income increase there. So compared to my previous salary and the new salary, I was like, okay, somewhere here there's a gap for a car. You see, so I was focused, and I was like, okay, this makes sense, and I'm gonna go for it. So I went for it. Number 3, your credit score. Your credit score counts a lot, and that is how the bank sort of gets an understanding of your spending habits or your payment back habits, how you are able to borrow and return. Do you have a good relationship? What's your track record there? So before the bank just gives you a car with like a lot of money, or like worth a lot, or like, taking up basically like a financial loan or a car financing, before they give you that, they need to know that someone has trusted you with 1,000 rands and you gave it back. Someone has trusted you with smaller money than what you are essentially asking from the bank, right? So I knew that. I was like, okay, we'll work on this. What I did is, because I had just moved out, I needed furniture. I had a bed, yes, but that was probably about it. So I needed furniture. So I got a store account instead, because I knew that obviously I would be furnishing my place, and either I was going to furnish it cash or I was going to furnish it through a store account, essentially therefore building my credit record, right? So I got a store account with Mr. Price Home, because the goal at that point, yes, is to furnish your place, but also it is to build your credit record. So you want to get that store account but pay it off as soon as possible. You don't want to find yourself 5 years from now you're still paying off your couches from Choreographed. So get a store account at a store that you would normally go buy cash for. That way you know that it's, you're not reaching. It's like here, because the goal is not necessarily to get yourself in debt, to be quite honest. It's just to build your credit. So build some sort of credit history, because that is what banks look at when it comes to you getting your first car. At least pay off that minimum premium. At least pay that minimum amount that they are requesting from you. Do not try and dodge anyone, because then you just look dodgy. We're not trying to ghost, because the bank's going to see that you're like ghosting, and they don't do well with that. Like, the bank is all about serious relationships. So you can't be ghosting. You can't be, you got to be serious. You got to be focused. The goal here is to get your first car, right? So you got to be practical, and you got to be consistent. Number 4, you're going to want to practice. Now, what are you practicing in this case? Well, you're practicing living without that money. It doesn't matter how much you earn. You could be getting 5,000 rands from your first job, and then 10,000, and then 15. If you know how to spend, honey, which we know you do, you just go and spend it. You're going to find ways of spending it. Doesn't matter whether it's 10K, 20K, 30K, 50K. If you're a good spender, you'll spend it. So what you're going to want to practice is practicing not having that money. Fast track back to planning. So when you were planning and you knew that, okay, you want a specific car, you need to know that. Like, you need to know what car. Don't just say you want a car, because then that's not planning. Like, what car? Like, what car? You need to know what car you want as your first car. Look at the different models that are available. Do some research as to, do you want it brand new? Do you want it second hand? It mustn't have like an extreme mileage. If it's under 100,000 kilometers, that's okay. If it's under 50,000 kilometers, that's even better. So those are the things that you want to think about when it comes to planning. At least knowing what car, at least knowing how much it costs, at least knowing what year model you potentially looking for, and how much it could potentially be. And there's actually a very practical way to do this as to finding out how much. Great way to do this is to go online. There's a lot of calculators that you can find. I think MFC, Motor Finance something. They've got a great calculator that you can find online that gives you an opportunity to see how much you would be paying on a car based on how much it costs, so how much your monthly repayments would be. So you can look at two calculators, an affordability calculator that can tell you based on your salary how much car can you afford, and secondly, based on the amount of the car, how much your monthly premiums would be on that car, how much your monthly installments would be on that car. Just to give you an example, if your car is going to be 100,000 rands as in total purchase including everything is going to be 100,000 rands, you are probably looking at about 2,000 rands a month as your monthly installment on that car. So now that we are talking about practicing, what you're going to want to practice is living without that 2,000 rands. And remember, it's not just that 2,000 rands. That's 2,000 rands is how much your car installment is going to be. There's other things to come, but in this case, let's just practice living without the installment. So what you can do, depending on whether you want to put down a deposit or not, I chose not to, but it's important to not skip the step where you are practicing living without that installment amount. So let's say it's 2,000 rands in this case. You're practicing living without 2,000 rands for a couple of months and seeing how that affects your life. Is it affecting whether you go to bed without food? Yes or no? Okay. Is it affecting how often you get to club? Yes. That's fine. It can affect that. As long as if you can go to sleep warm and full, everything else sort of doesn't matter. So if it means that you can't go clubbing every weekend because now you're trying to save towards a car, or you are thinking about buying a car, therefore you must readjust your budget, that is fine. At least now you know that when you drive, you can only go clubbing once a month, or you can only go out for lunch with one friend every month, like one, and then they'll take turns. Okay, this month you go out with this friend, next month you go out with that friend, next month. Okay, just so that your budget makes sense and you're working towards your goals. This thing of going out every weekend is just, it's just not it. If it means that it's hindering us from achieving some of our goals, such as getting your first car, getting your first apartment, which is a topic for another day, but we cannot. We need to be able to, develop as human beings and grow into our full selves and go from one bracket to the next bracket to the next earning bracket. If you are always just consuming at this bracket and you're just always spending everything you make, you are not going to get there. So it's important to learn to be self-disciplined. Tip number 5, you're going to want to know all the costs that are associated. Like I said, it's not just your car installment that you're going to be having to pay. It is actually other things as well. We've practiced for the past few months, you've been practicing maybe to save, that car installment amount, so you know that you can live without the 2,000 rands. Now, there's insurance. Depending on your age, depending on where you live, depending on how long you've had your driver's license, all those things go into play. For your insurance company, it tells them your level of risk, also depending on where you live. It tells them your level of risk. So if you're under 25, your insurance is going to be a little bit higher, which I was like, what? Why am I being penalized for being a young, ambitious black woman? Why? Doesn't make sense, but it makes sense because you haven't been driving for that long. That is why for them it's like, if you're under 25, you haven't been driving for that long, and you're probably clubbing and partying, and you're just slightly high risk. So those are the things that they think about. I hope you're taking notes, or I hope you are picking up what I'm putting down in this video, because it's essential. It is what helped me, and I believe that it could potentially help you too. Go for an affordable, small, efficient fuel economy car. What that means is that you want to go for a car, and you can go online, go on Google and research top 10 fuel efficient cars. You will find a lot of options, and I'm sure you will find 1 or 2 cars that speak to you. Number 7, you are going to want to test drive. Now, obviously, you know what car, you've been spending months building your credit record, so you've got some sort of credit history, you know, you're comfortable with the concept of that particular car, what model, what year. Make sure that you qualify for the number that you are comfortable with. Don't buy more car than you can afford. I hope this video was everything that you were expecting it to be. If there was a question that I did not answer, let me know in the comment section. Anyways, that's it for me today. Until next time, bye.